Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I'm just gonna keep it very short today to just share one really important hadith. And this is a very famous hadith, and according to the scholars, it's also one of the most important hadiths in all the hadiths because it's very comprehensive and covers the essence of Islam essentially. So one day in Medina, there was a man who walked in. He was dressed in white, very handsome, full beard, very bright. The companions describe him. Everything about this person was bright and radiant. Uh, and Medina is a small city, so everybody knew each other in there. So when they saw that man, they didn't recognize him, and he didn't have a speck of dirt on his clothes. So of course he didn't travel from far or anything like that. So they were all very confused who this person is. Then eventually this handsome man, he walked up to the Prophet ﷺ, and he was in the masjid. He came up to him and he asked him a question. He said, "What is Islam?" And then the Prophet replied with, "Islam is 5 pillars, the Shahada, Salah, Zakah, Ramadan, and Hajj." We all know this. Then the man said, "You have spoken the truth." So all the companions around and everybody, they were confused. And they were shocked. Who's this person? How dare he say that to the Prophet, that you have spoken the truth? Of course, the Prophet will always say the truth. And who is this person? They were all very confused. So then he asked the next question, what is Iman? And so Prophet ﷺ says to believe in Allah, the angels, the books, the Prophet, the Day of Judgment, and Qadr, predestination, right? Then the man again says, "You have spoken the truth." The next question he asks him is, "What is ihsan?" which is basically state of excellence. So the Prophet says, this state is if you're worshipping Allah all the time, as if you're always looking at Him, and it's because He is always looking at you, even though you can't see Him. So then the man asks the Prophet, when is the day of judgment? And the Prophet says, "I do not know this as much as you." Basically, we both don't know the answer to this question. Then he asks, "Okay, then what are the signs of the Day of Judgment?" And Prophet gave many signs, and I've mentioned them previously as well. And so after the Prophet gave him some of the signs of Day of Judgment, he says, "You have spoken the truth, O Prophet." And then he just gets up and the man leaves from the gathering. So the Prophet sends the companions after him to bring him back. And when the companions go after him, the man just vanished in thin air. So they come back and they ask the Prophet who that person was. The Prophet tells them that you do not know who this person is. He was the angel Jibreel who came, and he came to teach you your religion. So basically, first of all, this hadith is very important because it's extremely comprehensive. It covers a lot of like big things like Day of Judgment, the 5 pillars of Islam, Iman, most of the important things, and covers the essence of Islam. But another beautiful thing that sometimes goes ignored in this hadith is the love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for us as human beings, because He didn't just send us into this world and leave us be. He gave us prophets, He gave us angels to teach us His religion. So the Prophet ﷺ, he already knew the answer to all of these questions, and he knew them well. But the companions and us, we don't know the answer to these questions. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent Angel Jibreel to specifically ask these questions to the Prophet, so we know the answers to this. So we're prepared for these things, and which is why I find this hadith very beautiful, and it covers the majority, like a full essence of Islam. So with that, I'm going to conclude. Jazakallah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
जज़ाकल्लाह खैर माशाल्लाह जज़ा ये अरीब को बहुत शॉर्ट नोटिस पे जो है वो कल मैंने कहा था और इसने प्रिपेयर किया है माशाल्लाह जज़ाकल्लाह खैर